Hello and welcome to today's webinar. This is the fourth and final webinar of the 5 and 3 Challenge series, and it's titled Positive Self-Talk. My name is Madison and I will be your presenter today. Let's get started. Throughout the webinar, we are going to touch on 3 topics. The first one we'll be talking about is understanding what exactly is positive self-talk. Then we'll cover balancing your thoughts throughout the day. And finally, we'll go over 5 steps that can help you become better at having positive self-talk. All right, let's get started. Most of us are in constant mental chatter throughout the day. We talk to ourselves all day long, and unfortunately, this self-talk is frequently negative. Often it is tainted with guilt about our past and anxiety about our future. This negativity can destroy any seed of hope that we may otherwise had in striving for a dream. So think about yourself. What kind of thoughts go through your head throughout the day? Are these thoughts mostly positive thoughts or negative thoughts? And our thoughts are so important because our actions are inspired by our thoughts. So think about that. Our actions are inspired by our thoughts. So what we think in our heads often become part of the actions that we carry out. And if we can change the way we think, we can begin to change the actions that we take. It's human nature to seek personal growth, whether that's financially, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. And practicing self-talk can help us to set in motion actions that will bring us greater rewards. Before we get into some strategies for positive self-talk, we're going to discuss self-defeating thoughts and how that relates to balancing our thoughts throughout the day. Self-defeating thoughts. If you're like most of us, you probably struggle with these. And such thoughts can disrupt your ability to reach healthy lifestyle goals, like we've said in the 5 and 3 challenge. So let's talk about some common self-defeating thoughts with suggestions on how you can handle them and move forward to lifestyle balance. So take, for example, a common theme in self-defeating thoughts, the all or nothing thinking. An example of all or nothing thinking could be either I'm perfect on my diet and exercise today or I've completely failed. Instead of this all or nothing thought, which usually doesn't produce positive actions, try thinking instead, making a huge mistake is definitely not the same as a complete failure. So give yourself a break. No one is perfect, and expecting yourself to be perfect all of the time is going to make you feel like nothing, which is a self-defeating thought that's not worth your time. Another self-defeating thought is jumping to conclusions. For example, since I ate chocolate today, reaching my healthy eating goal is impossible. Now, just because you slipped a little bit doesn't mean that the rest of your day doesn't matter. One slip is not a big deal, and it's actually your thinking after your slip that is going to make all of the difference. Most importantly, it's about balance. So if you make healthy choices most of the time, that is what's important. Another self-defeating thought pattern can include negative fortune telling, which may seem to sound kind of silly, but take this for an example. If you're going to a party and you think to yourself, oh, I won't be able to resist the desserts at the party, it can be helpful to realize that no one is actually forcing you to eat anything, and you have the power. So prepare yourself in advance and tell yourself that you are in control. Our last self-defeating thought we'll touch on today includes excuses and exaggerations. For example, if you're feeling stressed and you think to yourself, it's okay to eat these sweets because I'm so stressed out. Well, it may help to take a step back and realize that this is emotional eating and it may be a habit that you have. So confront it and cope with your stress in another way. Perhaps call a friend or take a walk. you can cope with your problems in other ways than eating. So that concludes our self-defeating thoughts, and we're going to move on to the 5 steps to positive self-talk. And the following steps can help you to begin to rid your inner conversations of negativity and instead take on empowering thoughts. So the first one we'll cover today is eliminating internal negative talk. It will be hard to make a change to positive thinking without being acutely intimate with the thoughts that run through your mind. Recently, I was amazed to discover a deep buried emotion from negative thoughts I had for fewer than 10 minutes. Without awareness, I would have carried that hurt and anger inside of me. But awareness helped me to bring them out and to be open and deal with them. Undoubtedly, it will not be easy for you to make a switch if you have a long history of negative self-talk. Your talk became negative over the years, and it's due to various factors. But when you say to yourself, I can't, or it's too hard, you are creating resistance, and having such a mental block will prevent you from achieving a task that you could otherwise succeed at. So anytime you catch yourself saying, I can't, I challenge you to turn around and fight that old claim with why can't I? You'll soon find that you're able to do much more than you thought. Okay, so instead of I can't, exchange that with why can't I? Number 2 is about positive affirmations. And affirmations are positive statements of a desired outcome or goal. They are usually short, believable, and focused. By repeating them over and over again, you build inroads into your subconscious mind, opening up the possibility of a new state of thoughts. An important step when repeating affirmations is that you need to read your affirmations aloud with feeling. And as you can see, there are some positive affirmations here on the page. For example, I am smart. I can figure this out. I am beautiful. Or I am worth it. And initially, you might have some skepticism toward this statement of your positive affirmation. However, try and follow this simple set of instructions of saying aloud these positive affirmations for yourself, and you'll soon start to see why positive affirmations can be so helpful, because they'll give you some positive thoughts and can really help with your self-esteem. Number 3 is replace negative influences with positive ones. It's so important to identify external negative factors in your life that might be holding your thoughts hostage. For example, your mental state may become toxic by being around friends who are negative. If you're not vigilant about it, you will start to adapt their thoughts as your own. And so it's important to be alert to what your negative influences are. Maybe they're your friends, maybe they're people at work, but whatever those negative influences may be, limit your exposure to them as much as you can. Refrain from discussing your plans with people that aren't supportive of your goals and dreams. Instead, try to surround yourself with thoughts and actions from people who empower you. From being uninspired and demotivated, you'll begin to feel uplifted and driven for greater self-growth. The positive energy that they will vibrate into your life, and they'll start affecting your self-talk, the self-talk that you engage in as well. Number 4 is focus on what you can control. You may find yourself daunted by the many things you need to do in order to reach your goals. It just seems overwhelming to become the success that you secretly desire for. Your mind might get caught up in this endless stream of worry. What may be helpful is to concentrate on the steps that you can take in the present and the steps that you do have control over. If you find yourself becoming stuck, stop and say, what can I do about it right now? Change your internal talk from a future anxiety-ridden one to one that is more about the manageable present, because there are things that you can't control, but there are things that you can control. And you cannot control what will happen in the future, but you can control the steps that you can take now to build better thoughts and make for a better today. Taking the necessary steps require you to focus your thoughts and inner talk on now. And the last of the 5 steps to positive self-talk we'll be discussing today is confronting your fears. Fear is often what holds us back from success. You are scared of taking chances because you fear losing that security that you enjoy now. You're pushed out of your comfort zone. You try to convince yourself that you're happy in your current state when in fact you're not. Your self-talk may sound positive, but in your attempt to lie to yourself. Somehow there's an inner knowing that you are shortchanging yourself, and you probably know it. So what I want you to do right now is ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What's really the worst that can happen? Take a step-by-step approach and break down your fears and see if there's a way around looking at things more positively. When you confront your fears, you'll often realize that the worst case scenario is not as bad as you think. And in fact, the benefits of change are far outweigh the risks. Your inner talk begins to change at this point. So go ahead and give it a try. Confront your fears. This concludes our Positive Self-Talk webinar in the 5 and 3 Challenge series. I hope that you were able to take some positive insight away from our talk today and are able to apply it to your life. Thank you so much for attending the webinar today. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please email us at livewell@babbins.com. Thanks again, and take care.